Hello students, I am R. Mukherjee. Today we are going to study a lesson of geography, and that is resources and development. But what are the main topics of this lesson? What are the points we are going to learn in this lesson? Let me explain the points. We are going to study what is a resource. First point is resource. What is a resource? We will understand the meaning of resource. What does the word resource mean? What are the types of resources, or what are the types of resource? What is natural resource, and classification of natural resource? What is the difference between natural stuff and natural resource? Then we are going to study how does the tribal society view natural resource. What were the perceptions of natural resource of tribal society as well as industrial society? That means how does tribal society view natural resource and how does industrial society view it, and the difference in their views. Next point we are going to study is how did developmental activities damage natural resource or environment. What is sustainable development, and resource management or resource planning. So these are the main points of this lesson. What I have done, I have divided these points into 4 groups and made 4 videos, separate videos for you. In the first video, I am going to explain in this video what is resource and the types of resource. In the next video, you will learn natural resource and the classification of resource. And in this way, you are going to get 4 videos. Now, let me start. Let us first understand what is a resource. I have written 3 definitions of resource. First is resource is anything we need and use. That means whatever we use as a utility, demand of that thing, then only we use it. So if there is no need of anything, we do not use it. So it is a very clear definition that resource is anything we need and use. Second is everything available in our environment which can be used to satisfy our needs is resource. So whatever is available in our natural world, if they are used by the humans to satisfy, to meet their needs, are resources. Now third definition is resource is everything which satisfy our needs, which should be technologically accessible, culturally acceptable, and economically feasible. Now let us understand this definition, because there is a condition. The first part you understood that resource is everything which satisfy our needs. But it says that which should be technologically accessible. Now what is the meaning of technologically accessible? It means that the technology needed to use the resource must be available, so that we can extract it and make use of it. For example, if we want to extract iron ore, we must have technology to extract iron ore. Otherwise, the iron ore present under the ground has of no use. Second is culturally acceptable. Now, the resource available in the natural world or in nature must be culturally acceptable. Then only we use it and then it becomes resource. Otherwise, that is considered just as natural stuff. So what is the meaning of culturally acceptable? Acceptable. Now, culturally acceptable means it must be accepted by the people and it must not hurt or disturb their sentiments, culture or surroundings, etc. For example, the tribals living in forests forest areas worship nature. They worship plants, animals and natural forces. They use natural resource like forest but do not disturb it. But if someone wants to cut forest on a large scale, it is not acceptable to them. So it is called culturally acceptable. Third is economically feasible. What is the meaning of economically feasible? The degree to which the economic advantages of something to be made are greater than economic cost, then only it is economically feasible. For example, it must be profitable. It means output should be more than input. For example, extraction of iron ore requires huge amount of money. Suppose we want to extract iron ore. So it requires huge amount of money. But if the value of production, the iron ore after extraction is less than the cost of production, it is economically not feasible. So I will explain again and again these concepts in my next videos. Now let us move on and understand again the meaning of resource. Now students, if you look around you, you pick out anything, for example, your book, your pen or your bicycle, your smartphone, they are all resources. They are all resources for you because you use them to satisfy your need. For example, your smartphone is a resource because you use it to call your friends, get informations and play games. But what are they made of? That is the vital question. What are they made of? Now, a smartphone is made of metal, a whole range of metal, glass and plastic parts. Similarly, book is made of paper. Your bicycle is made of iron and steel. Pen is made of plastic. But the question is, where do these materials come from? Where does metal come from? Where does glass come from? Where does paper come from? Or plastic or steel come from? That is the vital question. Now, if I ask you, where does metal or glass come from? Do you know? They come from minerals. They come from minerals. The metal comes from minerals. Similarly, glass also comes from minerals. And where does iron and steel? You will say they come from iron ore. But what is iron ore? Iron ore is again mineral. So, and where does the plastic come from? The plastic, do you know plastic or synthetic plastic? They come from crude oil or coal or gas. They are again natural stuff. Paper come from wood pulp. So it is also natural because wood pulp we get from wood and wood we get from trees. So they are all natural substance. Children, students, so minerals, crude oil, coal or wood or trees are all mineral, natural stuff. Now remember one thing, that they are just natural things. They become resource when we use them to fulfill our needs. This is a very important point to remember. I repeat it here again. These minerals or crude oil or coal or gas or wood, they are all natural stuff. They exist in nature. But when we use them to fulfill our need, they become resource. And when we convert them or modify those natural resources, it is called man-made resource. So we can divide the resource into three types. We can divide the resource into three types: natural resource, human resource, man-made resource. Now, natural resource, for example, soil, air, water, mineral, forest, animal are natural resource because they exist in nature and they are not created by human beings. So they are natural resource. Now, what is human resource? Now, human resource is a human with knowledge, skill and technology. Now, man-made resource, example, a smartphone, book, pen, bicycle, etc. So now you can see here, natural resource, human resource and man-made resource together make our environment. They are the components of environment. So when natural stuff is converted or used by humans to meet their needs, they become natural resource. And when it is further modified or converted, then it becomes man-made resource. But students, it takes a lot of time and technology because it doesn't happen overnight. Now, for example, the iron ore existed in nature since the existence of the earth. But it took millions of years to convert it into iron and steel, because there was no technology, no knowledge and no skill. That means there was no human resource who can extract iron ore or convert it into iron or steel. So what we understood is that human resource is the most important factor to make a natural stuff a natural resource, and a natural resource a man-made resource. So I hope that you understood. Now look at this picture. Now this is also available in your book. These are the objects of natural things or natural resources. Ever since the earth was inhabited, humans and other life forms have depended on these things that existed freely in nature to survive. These things include water, oil, forests, rocks, minerals, soil, animals, etc. Now, you must understand that they are all natural resources because they exist in nature and they are the basis of life on the earth, and they exist in nature and no human created them. we only tap into their supply to survive. Now, we drink water, and we also generate electricity. We also generate hydropower, energy, water. We also use crude oil as fuel, and also to make various things such as synthetic plastic, wax, and so many things. We use forest products, minor and major both, to fulfill our needs. We use forest for wood, food, medicines, pulp, wood pulp, and forest is also home of wildlife. So many things we get from forest. We use rocks for construction of roads, buildings, and so many things. We use minerals in our industries to make jewelry, glass, ceramics, and so many things. We use soil to grow crops. We use animals to have food, and for food and wool, and so many things. Okay. Now here, natural resources can be consumed. This is a very important point to be noted, that natural resources can be consumed directly or indirectly. For example, we use air, we breathe oxygen. Now, we use it directly. It does not require any skill or technology. It is a natural process. We breathe in oxygen, and interestingly, God has not put any meter to measure how much oxygen is consumed, and doesn't send the bill. So it is a free gift. It is free gift of nature. But we also use natural resources as raw materials to make some other things. So this is very interesting. Now children, this is students, this is the time for a small test. There are some questions for you. The first is land a resource? Yes or no? Think about it. Is land a resource? Yes. Now, why I said yes? Because we use land for various purposes, like to grow crops, construct houses, roads, etc. So land is a resource. But suppose I have 10 acres of land, but I do not use that land. I do not grow crops on that land or build anything on that land. Then that land is not a resource. Second question is land a natural resource? Think about it. Is land a natural resource? Yes. It is a natural resource. Land is a natural resource. Why? Because we don't make land. The humans don't make land. It exists in nature. It occurs naturally. So, land is natural resource. Now, the third question is, was land a resource? It is a very interesting question. Was land or soil a resource for early men in early Stone Age? Was land or soil a resource for early men in early Stone Age? Yes or no? No. Why? Because in early Stone Age, people did not use land to grow crops or build houses. So land was not a resource for them. Okay? And the last question, was land or soil a resource for early men in the New Stone Age, that is Neolithic period? So the answer is yes. Yes, because the the people started growing crops, building houses, domesticate animals during Neolithic period. So that means they started using land. The people in the Neolithic period started using land. So land became a resource for them. You got the point? So, but you see the time gap between Paleolithic and Neolithic period. Paleolithic means early Stone Age. Paleolithic and Neolithic period is about 2.5 million years, and Neolithic period existed for 10,000 years. So now you imagine how much time it took for the people to start using land as a resource. Almost 3 million years. Okay, so but here industrial revolution took place in 17th century with the invention of steam engine. So in last 250 years we actually converted natural resources on a large scale. Now it is also because of increasing population. So it is very interesting to know how industrial society used these natural resources and the conflict between the tribal society and the industrial society. How did industrial society used or misused natural resources, etc. You will get all these explanations and the stories in the next videos. So children, thank you for listening.